Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We are talking the second semester or the spring semester of the school year, and for that, we're going to talk a little Lafourche Parish. It's Jarod Martin. He is the superintendent of Lafourche Parish Schools. We appreciate you being here. It's been every time we do any kind of story now, it's been a long couple of years, and then of course we throw in Ida. So we figure we check in on what's going on in the spring, and you guys are kind of around things are getting back to normal, and I think everybody's feeling pretty good. Mardi Gras seemed to go pretty good, and everybody's ready to finish out this school year strong, I'm sure, huh, Jarod?
Yeah, absolutely. The word normal has been almost afraid to say it for the last couple of years, but we are finally at a place where things are starting to look normal, and it's a really good thing. We are back in school, as you know, since January for all of our kids. And almost all of our schools are back up and running. We still have two schools where the kids are not there, but those students have a classroom to go to and a teacher that they get to see every day. So we're very fortunate to be where we are, but we're most fortunate about where we are with COVID right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. So let's finish up talking about Hurricane Ida and the recovery and all. Your parish is I think 100 miles long for sure. So it's almost it could cover a lot of different areas. So you got a lot of stuff going on in the south that you might not be dealing with in the north. But you, besides the two schools, you said Bayou Buff Elementary and Golden Meadow Middle. Those kids are in school. But almost everybody's going to finish on time, just a couple of weeks for some of those ones in the South. So to me, that's pretty optimistic. Those kids are in those schools and will finish at the latest in mid-June.
That's right. So the students in the South Lafourche High School footprint, they're going to finish June 15th. And the students in the Central Lafourche High School footprint, they're going to finish June 1st. And the students in the Thibodeau area are going to finish May 24th. Considering where we were as we returned to our homes after Ida, I will take that. And we're very happy that we are where we are in terms of the amount of instruction we can give our students. And, a lot's been made about instructional minutes and the state requirement that we have to abide by to have a good school year in terms of what the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education requires of us. But the truth is that after the couple years that we've had with COVID, we were dedicated to having complete school years, and we don't have any reservations about going into June a little bit because we recognize the value of the time spent with the teacher, and Ida interrupted that, and we're dedicated to giving that time back to students to make sure that we minimize learning loss amongst our kids.
Yeah, obviously, when you talk about in-class learning, this second semester, it becomes a real busy time. You're trying to get in the learning you need before you start taking your tests. Is everybody ready to go as far as tests and all that kind of stuff? And I guess we've seen the last couple of years, testing has changed a lot of things. I know Terrebonne's going up a lot. Your dad's group, their scores have really raised up. And how are your scores been with all the COVID-related stuff and then now a storm? Are you guys ready to go and ready to show what you got when the testing comes?
Yeah, absolutely. But without a doubt, we believe that there's going to be some storm-related impacts. Since October, we've lost 400 students within our schools from Hurricane Ida. And COVID has definitely had an impact on our kids. And amongst the educators in Lafourche Parish, we believe strongly that the impact of COVID, the impact of Ida, is felt most greatly amongst our youngest learners. So I'm very interested to see the test results of our third graders, our fourth graders, and our fifth graders. These younger students, as they're expected to take a test that wasn't designed for virtual learning. It wasn't designed for post-hurricane. It was designed for optimal learning and no hurricane. Right. So we anticipate some impacts, but Lafourche Parish has always been a high-achieving school district, and I anticipate staying at or near the top of the state in terms of performance.
Right. So you lost 400 students. So where does that go, and how does that relate? That's a big percentage of your population. So where do those students? Where would the scores be counted?
So those scores are likely not going to be counted anywhere. The way that it works is if you gain a student after October, I believe is the date, then the place where that kid takes the test, those scores don't count for that school. Now, when that student stays there, and I'll just use the town of Lafayette as an example. If a student evacuated to Lafayette because their house was damaged and they're living there now, the kid's going to take the test this spring, but the score is not going to be assigned to a school. And then next year, if the kid is still enrolled in that school, then of course that score would count for that school that year.
Wow, that's incredible. How many students y'all have?
So our count is around 13,500 students district-wide.
400 is a lot. That's a big percentage.
400's a school.
Yeah.
It's like one, Lockport Middle School, the school that I was a principal at in Lafourche Parish, only has 350 students.
Right.
Right. So you're talking about a school that's been displaced as a result of the storm.
And there's so many balls in the air as far as juggling different events. Obviously, you're trying to get your scores and kids back in classrooms after a pandemic. We get hit by a storm, and then now you have to repair almost every facility you have in your district. How's that coming? Give us an update on what it's like trying to piece together these schools and trying to do it in the right way where you get reimbursed from FEMA because, no district could take a hit if you don't do it the right way.
Yeah, so that's a complex question. I will tell you that school by school, the two most impacted schools for us are Bayou Buff Elementary and Golden Meadow Middle School. I'll start with Bayou Buff Elementary. We just got word back from our architect that the damage to that site does not exceed the 50% of the building threshold. And the reason why that number is important is because if you breach 50%, FEMA will actually pay for a new facility at a new location. And so that would have kicked in a bunch of different decision points for the school system in terms of what are we going to do with this school now that we've breached 50% damage. Do we go to another location? Do we build a whole new school? But the Bayou Buff Elementary School actually came back at far less than 50%. And so the decision as it relates to do you rebuild or do you repair has largely been made. We are beginning the process right now to have our architects put together a package to put out to bid proposals for contractors to go in and make all the repairs to Bayou Buff Elementary. And fingers crossed, we can have those repairs done not by August of 22, but by August of 23 so that kids can return back to their original campus. And what we're attempting to do right now is come up with a plan for our Bayou Buff students that's sustainable for an entire another school year, right? So we have to go through August, the one that's coming, August of 22 through May of 23, not having a school for these kids to go to, which is their home school. And so we're navigating that right now. We're still working on solutions, but we have good news for the Kramer community where Bayou Buff Elementary is housed, that school will be repaired. For Golden Meadow Middle School, we have the exact same scenario unfolding. The damage is less than 50%, and so our intent is to rebuild Golden Meadow Middle School back to its former glory and get those kids back on campus as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, that's actually great news, and I'm sure these communities are tied to those schools, particularly a little place like Kramer, and it's a little isolated like that. I'm sure they'd like to have those children in their community. That all ties in with transportation. Those are all things that must go with those kind of deals, and I guess goes into those kind of decisions on your part.
Absolutely. And so the best case scenario for us was to have the schools put back the way they were. And truthfully, I think we're going to get those schools put back better than they were.
Jarod, as we get ready to do a spring semester, most schools, as you said, are on their own campuses. What about the kids as they get ready to start taking testing? Everybody's doing athletics now. You're not too worried, I guess. We don't have a big outbreak for the pandemic. What's the feeling as you go into the last couple of weeks of the school year after we get out of Mardi Gras and spring break?
Yes, so the COVID numbers in Lafourche Parish went from a high in January of more than 500 students infected with COVID to an all-time low last week of one student infected with COVID.
Wow.
So as we entered the spring session, we're very optimistic that this trend of having extremely low COVID numbers holds, and getting back to what looks like a completely normal school environment. Kids sitting next to each other, working in groups, enjoying meals in cafeteria, having rich, engaging conversations, enjoying athletics, and having a full graduation, prom season, the whole nine. So we're extremely excited about the future, and we hope that this COVID wave is over.
Right.
Very hoping that that's the case.
So yeah, not the 6 feet away and not mask. And I know you guys have been working on that anyway, but that's all part of it. And we've talked about development for the students. Having facial awareness and being able to show emotion. That's all a big part of what you guys you need to do for full development of a child's development.
Absolutely, and knowing that, but then balancing the need to have safe schools and follow the guidance of the doctors. It had to be done. But we're very thankful that right now, everyone, the Department of Health, Centers for Disease Control, and the governor's office seems to be in accord that we can begin to relax these things. And nobody's more anxious to do that than I am.
Yeah. You got 30 seconds left in this segment. But do you sense a problem? Do you see any developmental issues, particularly for our younger kids that may have been wearing masks the last 2 years?
Fortunately, I can answer that with a resounding no. The people who have been most resilient to this thing are our children. Mm-hmm. They are exactly who we thought they were. Extremely resilient, very bright kids, and I'm very thankful to have the population of kids that we service every day because the kids are doing great.
We're talking about the spring semester, and it looks like you got some pretty good momentum as you finish out the school year. One of the cool things I guess we've learned over the pandemic side was that last year you guys started a summer session that actually really, really was popular and successful, and I think you guys got a lot out of it last year. Are you going to have some kind of summer session like that again this year?
Yes, we will. One of the silver linings to this dark cloud known as COVID, one of the things that occurred as a result of COVID was that we were able to get some funding from the feds, and the federal government funded through the state. We received around $49 million. And with that $49 million, now the $49 million is spread out over 4 years. But we have to address learning loss. We have to address developmental needs. We have to address teacher recruitment and retention shortages. We have to address a number of things, not to mention all of the increased overtime, the cleaning supplies. But the way that we're addressing learning loss, or at least one of the ways that we're attempting to address learning loss, is through the summer program. And our summer program is designed to enrich our students' ability in math and English. But the way that we do that is we have a summer camp environment from grades K through 8. We provide transportation, we provide a meal, and we provide high quality teachers from early morning to mid-afternoon, just like a normal school day. And we have arts, we have athletics, we have music, we have a ton of enrichment activities, and then we sneak in some math and English. So the kids love it, the teachers love it. I will tell you that last summer, it was such a reprieve from what was a very difficult school year, because I don't know if you recall, but in May, we had a really low instance of COVID in the community last year. And so we were able to relax our COVID protocols over the summer, and we were able to experience this moment of normal after the most difficult year. And so the kids loved it. Many of them weren't wearing masks. Many of them were playing with one another and were exposed to just super rich learning environments. So we're excited to bring that back. This year's summer program is going to, it's going to cost over $1 million to pull off, but we think it's absolutely worth it. To get more time with our students this year more than any other is invaluable. And it also provides a great service to our families, because in the summertime, many people struggle to find reliable childcare for their kids. So this is a win-win for the community, in my opinion. And we are going to partner with the rec districts and just have a grand old time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, obviously, we're not dealing with a pandemic now. We're post Ida, but a lot of people still rebuilding their homes and still trying to live in temporary places. So to have a place where their children go, learn, have fun, it's going to be a good reprieve. It's also a good way for teachers, right, to make a little income during the summer. And look, they're not immune to that either. And I know there's actually a push going on right now in Baton Rouge. You probably know about. They're trying to relax some of the protocol to get some retired teachers back in, because we have such a lack of teachers now from retirement and whatever. So it's probably a good way for those teachers to have a little something to do over the summer as well.
Absolutely, and we are thrilled to have our teachers have the opportunity to earn some additional income and provide a fantastic service for our kids. Teacher recruitment and retention is our number one initiative looking forward, and we have to invest in this. I believe that is our nation's most pressing action, is to invest in public education and get our teacher salaries to an extremely competitive level.
Right. Yeah, you were a principal, and I think your wife was a teacher as well. My wife was a teacher, and at my age, they all hit that retirement age. There's nobody replacing them. So I know that's a big issue, and I know always looking for teachers. Did we lose a lot of teachers? You'd say you lost 400 students. Did we lose a lot of teachers after this storm?
Statistically, much less. I believe the number is less than 12, but more than 5. And I'm chuckling because I don't know the number offhand. It was statistically less significant, the number of children that we lost.
Right. So good. So we touched on it. We got about a minute to go here, Jarod. What can we look forward to in the spring? And I know you said everybody's really looking forward to having a good competitive, basketball, baseball, and the rest of the athletics, proms, graduations. I know everybody's ready to just get out and hug each other as they go across the stage, I'm sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. As we enter the spring session, we're already beginning to look to next year and what that's going to look like, begin staffing for next year, and we have to prepare for a population shift. While we had a declining population south of the Intracoastal, I've got a growing population north of the Intracoastal. So we're beginning our staffing needs. We're planning for a very involved summer program that I think is going to serve the community quite well. And we're already looking forward to next school year, which I'm hoping and praying that is going to be one that gets us back on track, because we've just been dealt one blow after another.
Right.
And I guess the only good thing about what's happening locally is that we have a very robust economy, and one that's supporting our school system with robust sales tax collections as well.
Right.
So there are a lot of good things out there. If you don't focus on the negative, there's some things to be very thankful for.
Right, and we don't think about some of the major, some of the little things that get in our way. When we survive a major event like this, it can be good. Jarod, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, big man.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.